That's right.
You ready to roll? Good morning, first small group ever.
Good morning.
Wow, this is great. It's good to see some faces finally, and not just some virus names on the board. Hey, listen, here's the agenda for today. There is no agenda. There's not. There's a format that we want to follow. You're the agenda. So what we like to do is, rather than have one giant group discussion, although this isn't a very giant group, we're going to break out into smaller groups, and we're going to go over some topics. But when all said and done, we're going to probably ask you more questions than you'll ever ask any of us at all. And the goal of today is, when all said and done, we want you to walk away probably with more questions than you had coming in, which is good. I just want those questions to be better questions. Does that sound okay? So what I mean by that is this, is that the questions that we're hearing right now, we're saying, listen guys, ask us anything you want about this school. And what we're getting is this, we're getting, what am I teaching? Where's my classroom? And that's important because when you think about it, that's the very basic. That's the stuff that, before we start going to philosophy and what is PL going to look like to match my skill set and things like that, that's some stuff that'll come down the road. But today, I guess we probably can answer a lot of the basic questions as to who am I going to work with? Who's on my team? There are no axe murderers on your team that we know of, so you're all pretty good at this point in time. But, so really, we're talking about crawling and then walking and then running. So today we're going to crawl. And we're going to crawl just by taking those baby steps along the way. And we'll go over some things that are very, very basic. And maybe if you guys want to go deeper, we'll go deeper. But the bottom line is this, you'll see that no station will have an agenda in front of them. Because the teachers, the staff members in this building really should be the agenda. We want to make sure that we're serving you. And what's kind of funny is that when all said and done, that's kind of how we want our classrooms to run, isn't it? You know, we want to make sure that we're just not talking for 90 minutes or 60 minutes to a class, and that the students kind of drive the boat when all said and done. So probably the worst thing we could have done today would have been to clean up this mess. I wanted you to see the mess, because the mess means that we're thinking and we're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And the other part to that was that you didn't have to be subject to an agenda that you were being talked to. I want to have conversations. Hey, Chelsea, I want to have conversations. So that's what we'll have today. So really, if we can crawl today, and hopefully we'll crawl out this door here in about an hour, 90 minutes or so, we want to be able to go to the walk mindset. The walk mindset will be when we do our summits. The summits will be more larger groups, and we're going to do a lot of things together, like first of all, come up with our vision. You're not going to see a vision statement today. I have a very good idea as to what my vision is going to be, but guess what? My vision doesn't mean anything to you. It's going to be our vision when all said and done. So I'll still bet that if I pull my vision in my back pocket right now, I'll bet in 2 more weeks it looks a whole lot like what our vision is going to be, because we're all kind of here for the same reason when all said and done. So my vision means nothing unless it's all of our vision. So our first summit, believe it or not, is going to be exercises to come up with what our vision, who we are, what we're going to do looks like. And we're going to walk out of there after that first summit, and you're all going to get paid for the summit if you come, which is pretty cool too. But we'll walk out of that summit with a very good idea as to what it is that we really believe in, as a faculty, as a staff, why we came to Hampton, and this is what we're going to do at Hampton. Here's how it's different. The second summit will be really, we're going to walk a little bit faster. We're going to bring in a phenomenal woman that we met from Philadelphia, and her name is Diana. She's going to come down and spend 2 days with us, and she's going to let our teachers be exposed to what PL really looks like in your classroom, which is really when it all comes down to it. How do I personalize my classroom? You know, we talked about it at length amongst the folks that I had a chance to talk to, but one thing that we know is that every teacher in our building is pretty awesome at what they do. They're all masters of their craft, they know their content, they know their specialty, and they really have fun with what they're doing. So there's no doubt that we've got qualified people in the building. But everyone's got a different skill set as well. We have some folks that are taught 1 year, 2 years, some folks that are taught 20 years, 22 years. And that's okay too. But what PL looks like in your classroom will be very different from room to room. Of course it will be. It's supposed to be. We cannot standardize you and then ask you to personalize for kids. We have to keep that in mind. So how do we standardize this meeting if we're going to ask you to personalize? We don't do that. We just kind of let it just happen. So what Diana will be able to do is give you ideas and let you pick from the model that you want to go with. And say, you know what, maybe in October I'll be good enough to go ahead and do this. Or maybe by June I'll feel like, well, by May I'll feel like, you know, maybe we can do this one thing. It could be very, very basic like stations like we have here. It could be very, very deep like video production, things that they're going to be doing in your classrooms. She's a wealth of knowledge. She can talk for weeks and weeks and weeks if you wanted to. But one thing we're going to want to know is, well, what do you want to know? Because we'll just tell her and she'll bring it down. You know, so if you want to know what a PL project looks like, she'll bring them all down. It's pretty amazing. If you want to know what your classroom should look like, she'll show you pictures as, okay, well, this is what some folks do, and you will pick and choose based on what? Based on your skill set. And again, Isn't it kind of interesting how that's what we want our kids to do too? Well, tell us what you can do. You know, when all said and done, the best way to boil down what we're going to be doing in our building is we're going to ask our kids really 3 questions every day. And the first thing is, what is it you're going to learn? What do you want to learn? And the second thing will be, how are you going to learn it? And the third thing will be, how are you going to prove to me that you've learned it? There's a lot of power in that. How are you going to prove to me? I'm not going to prove to you. Shoot, you guys already have your degrees. How are they going to prove to you that they've learned it? And that could come through 100,000 different ways. Who they are, what their interests are, what they do very well. They should be able to use that to convey to you that they learned about federalism, or they learned how to conjugate a verb, or they learned how to, give me something, Danny, how to not split the atom. It's too hard.
Oh, they could learn about how the Civil War started.
Yeah, something like that. But it could very well be a video that they made with a group. It could be something that they listen, I'm a poet, I'm going to write you an anthology of poems to let you know that I know exactly what happened. The concepts will all still be there, but it's true. I mean, in my opinion, really, kind of like while we're all here, we're just tired of giving kids A, B, C, and D to pick from and have them fill a bubble in to prove what they know or don't know. It doesn't tell us anything about the kid at all. Now, when all said and done, look, let's face it, until we get our charter status, which will be coming soon, but until we get that charter status, we still have to sit for those ELCTs. We still have to do that. That's okay. But if we do our jobs the right way, they'll be insulted by that. They'll say, wow, you're going to actually give me the right answer out of those 4, and I'm going to find it because I specialize in this. I did a project on these concepts. What those projects look like will really kind of come from you guys. So at the end of Summit 2, you'll have some tools that you can really kind of play with. Then we're ready to run. So we crawl today, we walk during the summits, and then we run during pre-planning. Could you imagine, though, if we didn't do any of this at all, and we went into pre-planning like every other school launches, and we had to do all this in about 4 days on top of splitting your time in the county? We'd be trying to find ourselves, wouldn't we? So that's why we're doing this. So it's really cool you guys even came out today. We really do appreciate that. It just shows us really kind of who you are and what you guys are all about as well. Stations that we have set up, we'll just move our chairs because there's not really a lot of chairs in this room, but there's one group back there, and that's where our guidance, I shouldn't say guidance, our student counselors are going to be. And our student counselors will go over whatever it is that you want to talk about. You know, what is it that you expect from them and what they expect from you, and what are some of the things that you've seen that have worked really well for kids, and some things that maybe they've seen as well. And what we want to do is just get ideas from you. So you guys all leave and go do whatever it is that you guys go do during the summer. We want to take your ideas and be able to sit down and jam these things out and try to plug them into what our school model looks like. You know, we've got a very good framework, but you know, but the nuts and bolts of it, when all said and done, are all going to come down to the feedback we get from you guys. So I guess here's the thing: is every idea that we get going to be able to be incorporated? Honestly, I think we all know the answer to that. Probably not. But we're going to be able to take these ideas, record these ideas literally, because shoot, that's what we're going to be doing today, huh? You know, we'll be recording that, kind of go back over that, and then as you guys come up with that shared vision after Summit 1, we're going to be able to say, wow, these 15 ideas really reflect what they want. And maybe these 3 don't. And they're probably still good ideas, they just don't reflect the vision. So when we talk about a school built by teachers, for kids, supported by an administrative team, I mean, what better way to do it than to start right now? You know, answer some questions, and then we're going to ask you a ton of questions too. Like, what does that look like to you? So that first station is guidance. The second station, John's going to have. And for those that didn't go to that leadership thing that we did a couple of Fridays ago, John, Danny, Todd, that's what we are. So please nix the whole Mr. thing for me at least. I know you guys are probably the same way too. We're all one team, and I really mean that. So if you say Mr. thing, I'm probably not going to answer with this. I'm Todd, and that's that. But John will go over what the facility looks like. He'll be probably talking to you guys about what you guys feel are engagements, or what you might call duties, what we call engagements might look like, and really answering questions about the actual physical clinic itself. And also we'll have Veronica with John to talk about what the special education model will look like in our school too. And I've never met a person in my life that's more knowledgeable than Veronica is, so I'll just shut up now when it comes to that. So she's very good. Danny and I will be talking about basically the model, what the curriculum looks like, and pretty much kind of what the school day is going to look like, if you will. But along the way, don't be surprised if more questions and more feedback and input is asked of you than you could ever ask of us. And that's really the whole thing. We just want a wealth of ideas so that when you guys go back, we can spend the rest of the week kind of building what this model is going to look like. And hopefully when all said and done, when we roll back and get together and it's August and the kids are there, you can say, wow, we're doing something that I actually brought up here, a small group. You know, so you own a piece of that as well. So that's that. So really, as you can see, not really an agenda. There is a framework. We're gonna try to work within the framework. I've been known to go outside the frame a lot. Your job is pulling me back in, and then we'll have something special for today. Before we get started though, if it would be okay, I'd just love to go around the table, just do a quick intro. We don't have to go too deep into when you were 7 and things like that, but that's usually what I will do. But so go ahead. Hey, Stuart, what you got?
Stuart Kingsley, coming on to be a special ed parapro for this year. Yeah. Anything else?
There you go.
Sean Guillory, doing social studies this year. Did 1 year middle school last year, and I'm back in high school where I spent the first 12 years.
Nancy Smith, 9th grade academy, social studies.
Lisa Wright, I'll be the personalized and online learning coordinator and to the website.
Chelsea Wooten, I'm a theater teacher.
Veronica Copeland, special education, I guess, person.
Christy Price, early childhood.
Karen Montgomery, I'm a school counselor.
Bruce Johnson, video production.
Heather Tolliver, science.
Good morning. My name is Rodney Fears. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, about 37 years ago. 9th grade counselor.
Sean Hester, school counselor.
Marie Morris, special ed parapro.
Craig Nunn, athletic director.
Sean Daughtery, special education and related.
John Howard, AP.
Dan Hapey.
Craig, this is to put you on the spot. But could you join John's group with Veronica so you can talk about from that side of the building what we have going on with athletics?
Yeah.
And just let it come. I mean,
Yeah, that's fine.
I think it's really cool that we didn't give you an agenda because we're not really an agenda type school. It's driven by the teachers. That's what it comes down to. Hey, bottom line is this: is that we've got an opportunity to build something very, very special. And it's not going to be done with a handbook. Some of your questions were, "Where's the handbook?" And guess what? You're writing it. You're going to write the handbook. We have a handbook committee that we've asked folks to do, and I've never seen a school where the teachers wrote the handbook, but you're going to write it. And then we're going to give the kids some high expectations, but eventually we're going to have the kids really write their own handbook. Watch, they're going to be so hard on themselves, way harder than we ever would be. But we want some input from them as well. So, hey, when all's said and done, the chance to build something very, very special, I think, comes once in a lifetime. And for those of you guys who have opened up schools before, maybe you can tell me about it, because I've never done it either. So you're not sitting across from some guru who specializes in opening up schools. I specialize in turning schools around, one way or the other. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But this is an opportunity to turn education around, not just a school. This is pretty important as well. When we're all done with our rotations, we're going to come back together, just debrief a little bit, and then there's just really 2 things we're going to ask for. The first thing is, what do you want Diana to be preparing for us when she comes out from Philly? What are some of those things? And we can give her all that stuff tonight. So she'll start working on that. And the second thing is, if you have a Twitter account, we want you to tweet the answer to the question, why Hampton? Because that question could be answered very, very differently by lots of different folks. And to tweet it to, that's my Twitter account, I'd like to see it when all's said and done. And if you don't have a Twitter account, then just write it on the board and I'll tweet it for you. And we'll just kind of do that. But, it's important for us to constantly get feedback and input from you so that it's a better place for kids to go to school. And one thing we always forget about is a better place for people to come to work. If you guys can come to work in a place where it doesn't really seem like work, man, we did something pretty special. That's how I feel right now. I love the folks that I get to work with every day, and I can't wait to see you guys. To see your classrooms empty is depressing. Believe it or not, I've walked through that building so many times, and it looks better and better every time, but it's missing you. It's missing your stuff and your furniture, and of course the kids is what's really missing. And by Summit number 2, Summit 2 will be in the new building, so it's the first time you guys will get to see it. And we're hoping that it's as cool as we think it's going to be. So, hey! So with that said, I'll tell you what, we can move our chairs to the group areas. John and Craig and Veronica, you guys just want this area here? Okay, and our guidance folks will be back here, and then Danny and I will come right over here.
Rotation was, and you've already seen your teammates, so you know other nuance on the team. So you know who you're with. So that gives you a better idea, a more fine-tuned detail of what you've got there with your schedule.
Okay.
Okay. Now for you, they just printed out all Sean could give us because she's trying to figure out where it's dispersed. So you at least know how many sections of your AV that you're going to have.
Okay.
I had a question.
And within each section, she was capping them at like 20, I think it was like 20. She was capping them at. So that gives you an idea of just what to prepare for your group. So that's that one. And then the second one is just to kind of help you as we go through and talk about the model, talk about different things, you know, just kind of help with the lingo, just so we're all on the same page. And, you know, if there's any additional things that you want to write down, you can find out. A lot of it is, some of it is Georgia, just state lingo, so Sean and probably pretty good with it. You are probably too, Bruce. And then some of it is just stuff that we talk about. So you guys have a good idea when we're talking that we're all speaking the same language is what we're referencing things. So that will help you, and if you want to write anything down there. So I guess we can start with the model first. I'm going to go ahead and go over the models so they know exactly where they're set with everything.
Sure. This is a school that will have a tri-bridge schedule, so we'll have 3 schedules going at the same time with no bells ringing. So somehow the schedule hasn't got to I'll have to listen. The Freshman Academy schedule will be one that really does cater towards that 8th grade to 9th grade transition. We saw the 2 twins coming earlier today. Those are 2 of our freshmen. And spending some time with them in the 8th grade, we can really kind of see why it's so hard transition to the high school if we throw them just throw them to the wolves into a high school model where there are some 20-year-old kids on there. Let's face it. Freshman Academy is going to, for the first half of the year, really kind of foster that safe and caring environment. And that second half of the year, kind of let them fly a little bit. Let them fly into their sophomore year as well. So over my head here, you'll see the Freshman Academy type of schedule. And you'll see that they've got 2 electives of their choice that they're going to report to. So when they come in the morning, they'll actually go right off to the elective. We're not going to have a holding area for the kids. There's no place for them to come and wait for a bell to ring to give them permission to go to first period. If they want to come get breakfast, the cafeteria is there. It's going to be a pretty awesome cafeteria. And they can kind of hang out there if they want to. The library will be open. They have to abide by the library rules and regulations. That's okay. They'll probably have to go bring their eggs in there and the pancakes in there. But they can come listen to music if they want to, or get caught up on some work. But see, here's the thing. We would like for our kids to report to their first period, if you will. They can go to their team of teachers if they have got a core that they're meeting with, or they can pretty much go wherever they want. We don't want them in the hallways. We want them to be engaged in the classroom. So with that said, our teachers will be in the building 7:45. School starts at 8:15. By the time the kids roll in, we've had enough time to put our jackets away, grab that cup of coffee, and then if they show up to you, the chances are there's going to be someone that you guys teach that doesn't have any first period. That's still just going to want to come to you anyways, and that's okay as well. So the expectation is either go to your first period or to a teacher of your choice. But when 8:15 hits, we'll come on real quickly and say good morning to the kids, and we'll send them off to where they're supposed to be. And that's pretty much the last time until 3:25 that you're ever going to hear from us. Or they just not going to hear from us. We would love for eventually when Bruce is ready with his kids to have a 5-minute announcement ready to go ahead and rock and roll for the end of the day. That we can go ahead and put out there on the TVs throughout the building at the end of the day. Will be a neat thing. Rather than the morning time where half of our kids are still coming in, no one's really listening. At the end of the day, it might be a good time to do that. You know what? You guys might come to us and say, this sucks, let's go ahead and do it at lunchtime. Okay, we'll try it then too. It's just meant to start from somewhere, so we'll kind of start with that. So what happens between the beginning and the end? I'll tell you, it's completely up to you guys. There are rotations that the kids will have. So for example, the freshmen will go to their first E1's elective 1, E2's elective 2. Those are about 50 minutes long, and we give them about 5 minutes transition time between electives.
And if you don't have a group, you're just going to be doing your electives 50-minute periods.
Yep.
So you'll be.
Yeah, so for our elective teachers, really, at the end of the day, the cool thing with the elective teachers is that now, these become the cool teachers. Elective teachers become the ones that it's consistent, the kids know that that familiarity is there, and they've got Bruce first thing, they always have him first thing every single day for the whole entire school. That's that one thing they can really kind of hang on to. Now, the teams of teachers, when they get to their teams, hey, there could be days where it's really, really hard. There could be days where it's really confusing for those kids, and sometimes for you too. But the consistency, the rock, will be our elective teachers. So, and I love that. I like to elevate our elective teachers because I think all too often we kind of over-glorify the core and we kind of, well, whatever's left over, go ahead and dump down here. When the reality is, the kids come to school for you. They come for you first. They learn how to love their algebra and they learn how to love their social studies and whatnot.
But if
so
it's
they're really
fun,
coming for you.
If it's fun with you, then they're going to stay and stick it out for him.
I never missed a gym.
Yeah.
I came to gym every day. That's one thing I never missed. If they gave gold stars for that, I would have graduated with a bunch of gold stars for gym. So now they're third period is freshman focus. Now, every freshman in the building, if they're a first-year freshman, are taking freshman focus. And this is that time where, if you think about it, there are, I'm thinking about 36 weeks of school. If we were to ask our freshman teachers, and really all of our teachers, are there 36 things that kids need to know as high school students? Not about algebra or English or social studies or even video production, but are there 36 life things that they need to know? And then the answer is this. Obviously, it's probably 360,000 things they need to know. What are the 36 we want to teach them? And every week, we'll commonly go over a different one. Now, if you get a freshman focus class, awesome. What's the theme? You make it yours. So that theme might be bullying. I mean, what is bullying? Joking around sometimes can be bullying. It could be organization. It could be something as simple as, what's it going to really take me to go to college? You know, but you got to figure that you've got 15 minutes a day, and for the most part, you've got 5 days a week to try to hammer that concept home. And every child that goes should be able to participate however they really choose to. They're going to show up, they're going to participate, but that, honestly, for the freshmen, that should be an A. Well, I'm saying no. You might not get any A's, but that's what you're going to go ahead and get. But the most important thing for us is that they become sophomores with a very good idea how to be a high school student, how to act, and we're creating these young citizens now. What we don't want to do is give you a giant binder and a script to read through. Because then again, that's just, don't give that to me. I wouldn't want that at all. But you know what, based on your life experiences, make that topic yours. Whatever it's going to be. It's going to me, it would be a really fun time to be teaching. So that'll be that. Now from there, they're going to go off to their academy. And their academy, yes, Jenny kind of puts it in the square. It's the same thing, really. It's an English, math, social studies, and science rotation that the teachers together are going to plan for and set. Now the kids will be divided up in 4 groups, and you guys will divide them up however you so choose. And they will rotate through, theoretically, 50-minute periods with, check this out, with no 5-minute rotation time in between, because it really doesn't need to be. The 4 classrooms are literally right next to each other, sometimes right across the hall.
And you'll see the map when you go to.
You see the map, you'll see, oh my gosh, my team is literally together. And so when you're done with the kids, as you guys determine, when you're done, they will up and they will just rotate as a group, to the next class.
Now, the first 2 weeks, we kind of helped you guys out, set the rotation, just to kind of give you guys the idea, and, just something consistent, and then that way you guys are going to get how it all works, and then after the 2 weeks, it's all.
Oh, that's you, okay. You guys can go ahead and change it up if you want to. So when the kids come in the morning time, one thing that we would ask after the first 2 weeks is that they come to you first, what T and the AM Academy they do, they come to you first, that they'll see the rotation. So say, oh, okay, today I got this together first. So that's important as well. And you guys will rotate them through. Now, our teachers have got the flexibility to work together. So, for example, if Heather Tolliver wants to have a double block because she's doing a lab, you guys can work that out. Clean it up for the week and say, look, today I'm taking 1 and 2, tomorrow I'm taking 3 and 4. So we're going to set an A/B schedule this week. That's okay. You can do that too. Their lunch is built into this, and so it's the only academy, unfortunately someone has to have this, but only academy that has a split academy. So somewhere between the 3rd and 4th rotation, they'll have to stop and go grab some lunch. We only give the freshmen half an hour for lunch, but we don't want to give them too much time at first. Then we want the power lunch concept, we'll go over here in a second, to be a privilege for them as well. So by the time they get to their sophomore year, they can get their